just because we are few and they are many.
Does not mean that we are lost.
Hey, you. Welcome back to the channel. Very excited to talk about American Gods Season 2, episode House on the Rock. Came out yesterday. And we've been waiting quite a bit of time for American Gods Season 2. We know there was some controversy that came out with Michael Green and Brian Fuller possibly being fired. Some trouble on that set. They had to leave. Interesting enough, Brian Fuller, who's been responsible for many great projects recently with the Star Trek Discovery series, he left that as well. Many of us don't think that turned out to be so good for when he left that show. So there was quite a bit of concern for what we were going to get here in the American Gods Season 2 series. What I found right off was that it did very much keep with the element of what the American Gods Season 1 was like, which I was very relieved to see that. I was a little bit concerned. It even started out with the vignettes that we would normally get in Season 1. Interesting enough, this wasn't so much about the vignettes of speaking of the gods and their origin stories. Of course, this all being related to how the gods got to America. America being this new country that many of us believe didn't have many of these mythologies and stories. The book written by Neil Gaiman, American Gods, explores the story about immigrants who bring their deities with them. Neil Gaiman being an immigrant as well. So it's very interesting. Neil Gaiman, or rather the vignette, it opens up with that House on the Rock being the focus and us getting the history of the House on the Rock. So it kind of is in this origin story itself, featuring the House on the Rock. Now that seemed to me to be paying homage to the actual creator of the House on the Rock, which I just found was quite interesting, and kind of, making the attraction this type of kind of makes me think of it land in on these very powerful worship areas, like what they would call ley lines. And so this what seems to be this kind of situation what's happening with the gods, but the House on the Rock is an actual place in Wisconsin. And so very interesting. I'm thinking about visiting there and putting it on a to-go place because I just found it so interesting to look at and how it's incorporated into the show and the book American Gods. It does happen in the American Gods book where they actually go to the House on the Rock to have this meeting. And you're just watching the scene from the actual meeting of what happened when the gods actually meet to speak about the impending war or what Mr. Wednesday wants to have to finally deal with the new pantheon of gods. Interesting enough, this new pantheon of gods, just very interesting. Mr. World, specifically in his scene and how he maneuvers through the world. It just was kind of interesting that I always kind of assumed that Mr. World was kind of the head of his pantheon, of the pantheon of gods he's a part of. Much similar to like how Odin seems to be kind of father of the deities, or or I'm not exactly sure how it works in this world, but it does seem like Mr. Wednesday kind of is the leader there, right? Being Odin, being of the Norse, of the old Norse mythology. But it's just so interesting to see how Mr. World maneuvered through how he gets things done in order for him to call into effect an operation. He has to talk with the president, at the end of the day. And it's kind of interesting what it makes me think about. It kind of makes you think about like how the CIA works. where it's like you kind of get this idea that they know more than the president and everybody else, and they're kind of really in control of all the information. As one administration leads to another, they have carried this information all throughout history, and so Mr. World seems to be kind of this embodiment, the representation of all that, as he has to call into operation these strikes and get the proper authority. And I just found that hilarious. I really love how they approach this show in the personification of deities with the world around us. Much like how many believe the ancients saw, gods as they tried to explain and describe the world around them. They would use these the personification of the gods to describe the variety of events. And I just found that so very interesting how they do it in our day and age now, because I guess the overall theme being that we all have selected our deities. It might not be Odin, it might not be Anansi, but it is the things that are of our day, whether it be technology or the internet, or whether it be media, or whether it be the government, or whether it be money, or whatever it is. It seems that we have put in place something else to represent where we place our faith and belief in, right? And so that was just amazing. But, we get in this meeting, basically, Odin trying to help the gods understand that these new gods are a threat. They are coming for them. They will destroy them at some point in time, and they will have to fight. He doesn't seem to be doing a real great job of it. But then we get, of course, with Shadowmoon giving this great speech about belief in the deities. And we still don't know who Shadowmoon is exactly. So much great things happen in this episode. Laura's with them. They all meet up here at the house on the rock, and many of them aren't allowed to go into the actual meeting. But we remember from last season, Bilquis, who was basically kind of now has been kind of playing double agent, right? Because she's under the control of Technical Boy, and she's using her phone. She's using this technology, and they're able to track the meeting there and track their whereabouts on where Mr. World's going to do this hit, right? He's going to call into this black ops operation and kill all these deities with these god-killing bullets that takes you back to the Vulcan episode, right, where he was making the bullets that killed Mexican Jesus before Odin killed him. So I mean, just a great episode, guys. I was again a little bit concerned about what would happen in the American Gods season 2 with everybody leaving. I was afraid that we were going to really start to see that, but it does have many of the same elements that we got from season 1. Neil Gaiman is a lot more involved, and he's spending time trying to make sure the job goes well. And so far, so good, guys. So far, so good. It looks great. So basically, what we kind of got in the closing is after this operation, this hit happens, Shadow goes and tries to get the people who are responsible for it, the assassins, and he's taken up. He's kidnapped by Mr. World. Now, this kind of as well goes back, and it reminds you of the Men in Black, right? All this government, because this is what Mr. World represents, right? All the government secrecy, all the information, all the classified information. So you kind of have this UFO abduction thing happening, right? He's the Man in Black, right? He represents all these ideas. And they've taken Shadow into their and they're looks like they're going to interrogate him or do something like that. Of course, Matt Sweeney and Laura, they're still in this very interesting, weird relationship they got. She's still being kept alive by his luck and his lucky coin, right? That's kind of embodied into her in this the luck is making her stay alive. We didn't get any Mr. Jackal. We didn't get any Thoth, the god of knowledge, right? But I believe, or the name he goes by, which is Mr. Ibis. But it does look like he will be in season 2. I don't know about Mr. Jackal because, interesting enough, Mr. Jackal was, I believe, on Star Trek Discovery. So I'm wondering, did he go over there with when Michael Green and Brian Fuller left the show? Because he played, I believe, the head Klingon king over there. So maybe he left with them. I didn't hear anything about them. Also, we didn't get to see Media, played by Gillian Anderson. We know she left as well. Easter, the goddess Easter, she left as well. And we got to see Mr. Nancy kind of make these little hints to why Easter left. Of course, that's not why she really left, but, you know, we just got this little funny take on it about how Odin was running over the Easter bunnies. But what we do know from the books is Easter does make an appearance again. So we're not sure how that will be handled. But guys, the production quality, the art design, still very much season 1. All those elements that made season 1 so great. This show still has many of those things, and the great acting, of course, between the character who plays Mr. Nancy and Mr. Wednesday, of course. Just very, very great to see them. These roles seem made for them. The casting couldn't have been more well done. They really make these roles, right? But guys, just excited to see what the next episode is going to be about. We're back with American Gods, probably one of my most favorite TV shows besides Game of Thrones. They kind of run neck and neck, and in some ways, American Gods I find more fun to watch than Game of Thrones because of some of the elements that it addresses today, I think. And we got about possibly 5 seasons with American Gods. We know this is the last season of Game of Thrones, but we're going to get probably 5 seasons here with American Gods, and that's going to be awesome to watch. It's a lot of material here, a lot of things to watch here. Of course, we got introduced to many gods at this meeting that we weren't aware of, and some of them were assassinated, some of them were killed, but we did get to see Kali. She was the Indian woman working at the Motel Americas, which is a common theme in the books. And so that's going to be interesting to see what their characters advance to in the series. We got to see Salim finding the Jinn once again, and the Jinn was upset about giving him these powers to do anything he wanted, and he's still seeking him out. He still wants to have this relationship with this Jinn. And Chernobog, you know, we get Chernobog mad at the end after one of the Zorges are murdered and assassinated, one of the loves of Mr. Wednesday. And so Chernobog, the black god, the Slavic god, that's going to be a top henchman for Mr. Wednesday in the war. He gets all upset, as we got to see. But guys, just a great episode. It moved fast along, and I'm just looking forward to see what we're going to get in the second episode. But we're going to continue to cover it and go from there. So there's a lot of things coming up. I haven't finished the books yet, but I'm probably going to try to finish it this season. I got pretty far, but I want to finish that. And I believe we're also going to get some origin stories of Technical Boy, right? And of course, he's looking for Media, because the Gillian Anderson version of Media, which seems to be a throwback to the 1950s, Lucille Ball, the Media of the 80s, the 90s. This is new Media, right? And so new Media is going to be dealing with a lot of our technology age today, the internet, and a variety of things like that. So she's going to be coming forth at some point in the episodes. But that's going to be all fantastic to watch, guys. That's all I want to say about American Gods this episode, House on the Rock. I thought it was an awesome episode. Guys, if you like content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, take care.